you've given examples of people who've met with him. Once during this campaign, have you heard Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton call Donald Trump a bigot?
I don't recall either one of them.
I haven't.
And they gave him an award.
The man who's received awards with Muhammad Ali, with Rosa Parks.
From Jesse Jackson.
Photos.
He received an award from Jesse Jackson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? You're right. I forgot all about that. So you have to go back and you kind of got to dismiss a lot of the campaign innuendo against him from his opponents, particularly on the left, because he has a history. His history is a body that I'd rather look at rather than just accusations during a campaign.
Certainly.
To move on to Eddie's call, it was funny how he was somewhat dismissive of Trump's agenda of bringing jobs back because of automation. Well, I'd rather have the companies here doing the automation so we can have actually humans in the United States servicing those machines and supplying them machines.
Good point.
I mean, it's funny how someone who's an opponent of Trump can spin. It works both ways, actually, left and right. They can spin just to meet their narrative. And that was complete spin on Eddie's part. And he's usually right on with a lot of things.
Sure he is.
That was just pure spin just because he doesn't like Trump.
Well, I hadn't thought about the automation point from your perspective, but you're right. You could just as easily automate in Mexico as you could in the United States.
Of course you could.
Sure.
And it would probably be cheaper because you'd be paying the technicians $3 an hour rather than paying good wages to people here.
Right.
And real quick, one last point.
Sure.
People are complaining about Trump's 10% increase in the budget for the military. And what they're forgetting the point is we have planes that they have to go to graveyards to go find parts for them to fly.
They're cannibalizing the planes, yeah.
Did you know that Barack Obama requested $711 billion for the Department of Defense in 2011, which even with Trump's increase, is still significantly lower than that number?
No, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, take a look at it.
I will.
What he requested and his request versus now. And people automatically assume that the increase in defense is for more war, which it's clearly not. It's because the equipment throughout the whole military is falling apart from lack of maintenance and old fleets and purchases of new aircraft and things of that nature. And to name a couple things that Trump's done so far, like you mentioned, the economic agenda, what about TPP? How come no one mentions that anymore?
I wish I had mentioned it. Tell us about it. I screwed up there. Tell us about it.
This was on the Bernie platform that people are conveniently forgetting, that the Bernie Sanders coalition was against TPP, so is Trump. He's for bringing manufacturing back, so is Trump. So it's funny how people already expect results after how many days in office, 50-some odd?
Something like that, yeah.
So you can disparage Trump because he hasn't produced results in 50-some odd days. However, the economy reacts to policies or future policies that are going to be set. It really hasn't trickled down yet to Main Street, but Wall Street's been insanely successful. Companies have come out and said they are going to invest in the United States.
Right.
And I have a feeling that if and when Congress can ever get off their butt and do anything, the economy will even go forward if they can enact tax cuts that are necessary to make everything go forward.
Yeah, it's a complicated dance making legislation.
Sure it is.
And everything's done to fit together, and then of course you have contingency plans, assuming some stuff doesn't get through. Well, how can we make this work regardless? No, it's very complicated. You're right. We may be holding him. Some people may be holding him to a standard that's impossible, which is the first.
Well, they're
60
doing
days.
it on purpose.
Of course they are. Yeah,
he's not their guy.
Right. And I get that. Right. We all get that. Hey, caller, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate you updating us. The TPP. How did I forget that? The Trans-Pacific Partnership. What was that? Huge. It was NAFTA on steroids. A huge, huge trade deal that would have lost an incredible amount of jobs here in America. If you remember, Hillary Clinton, who called it the gold standard of trade deals under the Obama administration, had helped to negotiate it as Secretary of State. She then was against it during the campaign because Trump was against it. He was the only candidate in the Republican primary, if I recall correctly, that was against it. Rand Paul was probably against it, but on different reasons. And legitimate reasons, by the way, but still different. And Trump immediately pulled us out of that. Thank you, caller, for reminding us of that. Hey, I really appreciate how long you've been holding. Thanks. You're live on WBSM.
Well, I appreciate you thanking me because it's been a while, but that's all good. Hey, that statement that was made a little earlier, about Trump bringing out, basically, I'm going to paraphrase, bringing out the worst in people as far as their prejudice and things like that is totally inaccurate. Totally inaccurate. I asked the question, who do we have on film saying they did not believe in gay marriage? Who is it? All I can recall is where it'll make sense in this conversation is Hillary and Obama are both on film saying that they did not believe, they believed in traditional marriage. When has Trump ever come out and said anything even remotely close to that?
Yeah,
Never.
I don't think he ever has.
Exactly.
I don't, because I don't even think he thinks it's an issue.
This is what I dislike about the liberal Democrats. I used to be able to tolerate them. It's getting to the point I just dislike being in their company or listening to them because this is what they use, like the last caller said. They like to just use hatred because anyone who's listening to your show today, and it may just take that away from today. And next thing you know, it's breeding like a disease. Oh, he dislikes the gays. He dislikes the blacks. That's BS. To me, he's a uniter, and that's what I see with this guy. Dislike him for whatever reason you want to. But I voted for this guy for many reasons, but most specifically why I voted for this guy because I was sick of the way things are going with politics and the politicians. I feel as a working guy, I was getting squashed every time I turned around.
Right.
And my hope was, you know what? Here we have someone who is a businessman. We're hiring lawyers as presidents and everything else, as senators and everything else. What good have they done us? Look at us as the working people. Who can answer that question and say we're better off? I'm not better off. Every time I go to make an extra buck, I get squashed.